Welcome to Impact 2025, our continuing conversation where we talk about all types of different topics: race, religion, current events, everything you can think of. We dip our toe into politics, all that good stuff. And as always, what we do is we invite you to join in on that conversation. So this is your opportunity to say what you want to say. Whether you agree, whether you disagree, if you have a question, you have a comment, you got some great insight that we need to have, you have the opportunity to do that by typing your questions and your comments into the comment section. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, you just go down to that comment section, get your little fingers going, type in what you want to say, and we will discuss it. It will come up on the screen, similar to how it says type questions and comments, and then we will discuss it. We will address it. We do not shy away. Say what you want to say. This is a safe place, and even if it's not a safe place, you need to be a little bit brave. But it is a safe place. All right. As always, I want to remind people about the different offers that we have going on. We have on Thursday Thirst, which is a weekly Bible study. This is a great opportunity to dive deep into the Bible. Sometimes we get spiritual in our relationships with church and God, and we forget that we need to actually get down to some of the meat. And that's what actually you can do on Thursday Thirst. We go into the Bible and it gets broken down. Sundays, we have worship service at 10 o'clock. That's here on YouTube and Facebook. I don't know if I said what time on Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Facebook and YouTube. And then, so now skipping back, Sunday, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Facebook, YouTube, also in person at the address on the screen. And of course, on Tuesdays, we have a time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. You can pray with the people in the ministry, with all of us. Not the whole time if you don't want to. You can go the whole time, but between 7 and 7:45, you will have people in this ministry praying at the same time that you are praying. And of course, at 8 o'clock, we have Impact 2025. Look, we're just going to roll into it. There's a lot of stuff going on. First, before we even really get started, this is not what we're talking about, but I want to just gotta talk about it. Today, I just found out that Israel has decided to shoot up Gaza again. Drop some bombs over in Gaza. We're supposed to have a ceasefire. It's supposed to be this magical deal that was made, and it has been violated repeatedly, but this is the biggest incursion of the violation now. And it might be over. That peace deal might be over before it even started. And so, the only people who are surprised that this happened are people who have no clue about what's going on or have no historical background to what's going on in Gaza, in Palestine, in Israel, in the Middle East area. Look, I know a lot of people get hype and excited every time they see these little deals that are being made, but we shouldn't. We need to be measured and tempered and understand that it's a bad situation, and I think we need to call it out, and I think we need to be realistic about it. One of the things that just occurred is that Israel claims that 2 Israeli soldiers were killed. And then as a result of those 2 Israeli soldiers, 40 Palestinians were killed. Now, I need you to hear what the report said. And this is how Israel even framed it. 2 Israeli soldiers were killed. And in retaliation, 40 Palestinians were killed. 2 Israeli soldiers were killed. And then 40 non-soldiers were killed as a result of that. And that's what we have going on in Israel right now. You have the Palestinians, those women, children, men who are not soldiers, who didn't sign up for a fight. That's what your result is when 2 Palestinian soldiers are killed, doing whatever they were killed doing. I don't know. Hamas killed them, whoever killed them, but 2 soldiers got killed and you killed 40 people. 40 innocent, well, not innocent, I don't know what they were, but 40 people who are not military personnel. And so that's what we have going on. And that's what we continually have going on. And I think we need to call it out at the end of the day. Whatever you believe, whatever side you fall on this conflict, it is ridiculous for one country to think that it's okay to have a 2 for 40 ratio of how we pay people, and you can kill military folk who are engaged in a military conflict, and we can just kill just civilians, just people. We just do what we want. It's a real bad situation. It's a disgusting situation. In Israel, you got some problems. You really should be ashamed of yourself. And you really got to do a lot better, especially with the leadership of your country. And that's coming from somebody in the U.S. who has the worst leadership. So look, we can recognize bad leadership. So y'all need to do better. So I had to get that out the way. Sorry, that's not what we're talking about today, but I had to get it out the way. But it kind of fits with what we're talking about today. Because what we're talking about today, it's going to be a lot different. This isn't like normally we'll maybe pick a topic that's out of current events or pick something out of the news or pick something that a lot of people have been talking about. Won't really do that. This is something that we've talked about before, but we're going to just talk about it in a more forceful way or a more concentrated way today. And that is speaking the truth. Recently, we've had just a lot of things going on across the board. Whether we're looking at, government, whether you're looking at in your community, whether we're looking at just people one-on-one. And there's a lot of what we call playing around with our words lately. I'm going to give you some broader government examples, and you can kind of see what I'm saying. One of them is right now. Right now, what we have going on is that we have a situation where we have the government, the Supreme Court has decided that the government can go into different locations and legally discriminate against Hispanics. So they can go in and legally discriminate. And what this discrimination is called is profiling. And so what they can do is if they're looking for people who they think are non-citizens, illegals, whatever they want to call them, they can go in and they can decide, well, based on your occupation, based on how you look, based on what location that you're in, based on any of these demographic type things, they can go and grab you up. They don't have to have calls and just calls. They can just go ahead and profile. They can racially profile. And the Supreme Court was like, oh, yeah, just go ahead and let them do it. Now, the Supreme Court didn't make a decision and a ruling to saying that they were legally allowed to do it, because that would be a violation of the Constitution. They know that. But because we have a Supreme Court that's a little corrupt and racist, they decided that we're not going to deal with this issue. So you're allowed to do these things right now until we're able to get back to this issue. Call the emergency docket if you really want to kind of go down that route. We're not a civics class, so we don't have to really go into that. But just know that temporarily they've given a free pass to legally discriminating against people. Now, we got to call that out. That's a situation where we can sit back and you can play around and you can be like, well, they're not, the Supreme Court is not addressing the issue. They're just, or no, this is politics, or oh no, it's this thing, or we really need to do this. You got to call things out. You got to call out the fact that this is discrimination. You got to call it out that you're not going to be able to do that to many other people. We have to call out and be real and be playing with things, because we're playing too much, I think. And if you disagree, again, you comments, questions in the comment section. But we're playing too much, and it's allowing people to do these bad things because we are being enablers by sitting back and doing nothing. They always, it's a good saying. I mean, the basis of the saying, I'm not going to go to the saying, but I'm going to break down the saying because it's easier to just do it that way. The basis of the saying is, it's not that there's a lot of bad people in there, or bad things don't happen because there's just a lot of bad people. Bad things happen when good people fail to do good things, or good people fail to stop bad people. That's this concept that goes around. And there's a lot of truth there. The only time we see bad things happen is when, not the only time, but most of the time when we see bad things happen is because everybody else just let it happen. We just sat back and everybody just let it happen. We're just like, oh, well, whatever. It's rare that something bad happens and nobody was there to stop it or prevent it. And so right now, we have a lot of stuff going on right now in schools all across the country. They're getting new high schools and colleges. They're getting chapters of Turning Point USA. And I don't know if you know what Turning Point USA, but I will tell you what Turning Point USA is to me. It is a racist organization that pushes racist ideology, tropes, all of that kind of stuff. It was founded by a racist individual. And so now they're popping up everywhere. But people play. It's just an organization. It's just a political organization. They're just doing some things. We're not talking plain. We're not talking truth to power. And as a result, by not saying what it really is, you let it grow. You let it fester. You let it become a training ground for young people to learn about racism and to feel free to go out here and be more racist than they probably already would have been. I know it's a weird topic, but we're talking straight. What I'm saying is nowadays we have to talk truth. It's frustrating as you watch television, or you may listen to the radio, or you may listen on your phone or YouTube or whatever, and you hear people have discussions about what's going on, and everyone is trying so hard to be civil. You want to try so hard to allow the other person who disagrees with you to give them grace and give them a moment of like, oh man, maybe they're not that bad, which is fine. And I think that's how we should be. We should be able to talk to one another in a respectful manner, but we should also be able to tell the truth. We all should be able to do the famous saying of calling a spade a spade. And we're not doing that nowadays. When we see something, we don't say what it is. We dance around it and we say silly stuff. Like I've always said, when somebody does something racist and then you hear somebody say, well, I don't know what's in their heart. That's you, lack of better words, that's you punking out. Somebody does something racist, you can call them out for what they did, and you don't have to sit back and say, well, I don't know what's in their heart. It doesn't matter what's in their heart. It matters what's coming out of their mouth. It matters what actions they're physically doing. It matters what actions they're pushing. Heart doesn't matter. You've heard me say it before. At the point that somebody's heart jumps out of their chest, at the point that somebody's heart jumps out of their chest and lynches somebody or beats somebody, well, then we can talk about what matters in their heart. But your heart's not doing it. But your lips are saying racist things. Your hands are going out here and doing racist things. You're advocating for racist things. That's what matters. Racism is not a heart emotion. Racism is an action. And if you're doing racist actions, we don't need to care about the heart. And so that's where we are today, is talking, keeping it plain. And I think that that's one of the major problems that we're having, is that we do not keep it plain, is that we are not talking truth to power nowadays, and that we're letting stuff slide even more and more and more. It's going back to our first topic before we even jumped on this, is Israel was originally called by God to be a light unto the world. They were to be God's representatives. Israel today is not the Israel of the Bible. Yeah, and that's clear, because the Israel of the Bible and the Israel today is a new Israel. It started in the 1900s. I want to say in the 1900s. This is a whole different thing. This is a different place. And so to those of us who think that these are the same people that God was talking about as representatives in the Bible, it's not. I don't think it is. I think we can get fooled by that sometimes and think, oh, well, these are the chosen people from the Bible. These are not the same folk. These are not them. They're very, very different. And even if it was them, let's say it is them. If you acting wrong, you acting wrong. We got to speak truth to it. You don't get a free pass to act a fool because you got some special privileges. No. Right and wrong should be applied equally to everyone, regardless of who you are. And so, yeah, that's what I firmly believe. I believe that this isn't the same group. And even if it was, don't matter. You need to do right. We should expect more of you if you were the chosen people, if you were the ones who were supposed to be the light of the world, than expecting less. We should demand more of you than demand less. And right now we're demanding nothing. And that's the pitiful part of it. As a country, not the individual people, because I know there's a lot of people who disagree, but as a country, they're just murderers. That's all they are. They're bullies and they're murderers. And so right now we need to call that out, and because it won't change if nobody stops them. All right. We need to begin to discuss how the Supreme Court justice can possibly be removed or impeached. Congress persons need to inform their constituents of how judges can be removed. The issue isn't just racism, it's poor leadership. Absolutely. And the issue isn't just poor leadership. It's leadership is not a thing that we discuss anymore. People want to talk about politics. People want to talk about politicians, playing politics. Politics is a game that people play. We don't need politicians. When you go to vote this year in November on the 2nd, or I mean not the 2nd, but on the first Tuesday, go in the booth and try your best to find out which person is a leader and which person is going to do leadership. Don't go vote for a politician. Don't even be looking at politicians. We need people to stop running and being politicians. We need some leaders. And you're like, well, what's the difference? If you're doing no. There are plenty of people who you've met who are leaders, who plan to go in here and be leaders and government officials. The people who are over here playing games that just tell you what you want to hear, they lie to you to your face. You ask them a question and they can't answer it. Those are politicians. If I say, what are you going to do about this? And you can't say what you're going to do, making your yeses yes and your no's no's, then you're a politician. We don't need any more of them. And so it's not poor leadership. We have no leadership. It's we have a bunch of politicians, and that's our problem. And that's our fault as individuals and people. I think we have been so brain warped that we just pick these politicians because that's what we're conditioned to do. We need to be picking leaders. We need to be picking people to lead and who want to actually, do things. Not people who just want to be politicians, which is just game players. That's no, they're politicking. They're just playing games. But and that goes back to what we need to discuss is the Supreme Court judges. But the first thing to do there is, again, we have to be able to call stuff out for what it is. We have to be able to speak truth for what it is. And you're like, well, no, that's not the truth. That's just your opinion. Well, if it's your opinion, don't have a scared opinion. Don't have a muted opinion. Just put out your opinion. When you're talking to people, I think it's much more effective when you just tell the truth. Tell how you feel, whether it be right or wrong, and then we can address that. Because we can't really have a true and honest conversation if you're holding back or if you're hiding or if you're dancing around. And oftentimes people will be like, man, just tell me what you're trying to say. Like, stop playing around, stop beating around the bush. Just tell me what you're trying to say. And we don't do that. We have to be able to say some real stuff. And I think we've been too scared too long, and that's what's growing the problem. All right. So, like right now, what is the problem that we have? Well, we have a racist president. Why? Why do you think that he's racist? Well, we can look at the facts. We can look at the fact that he decided we don't want any immigrants here unless you're a white South African. And that's not me saying, oh, just do something. No, he said white South Africans. I'm going to move you to the front of the line and bring you in here, but I'm closing off immigration to everybody else. That's racist. Going and saying, well, the Smithsonian, they talk too much about slavery. It's a history museum. And a big chunk of our history of the United States is about slavery. But we don't want to talk about that. We need to minimize that. We don't need to tell the truth about that. That's racist. The fact that he wants to send troops, National Guard troops in the cities, but you've only chosen the cities with the black mayors. Racist. Time after time after time after time is shown. But people won't say that. They want to dance around and they want to say other things because we're not speaking truth to what's going on. And because you don't speak the truth to it, we can't have a real discussion about it. People are scared sometimes, I think, because of what may happen if you do speak the truth, because there's been a lot of retribution that comes back when you do. If you say the truth, you might lose your job. Or you say the truth, you might get hate mail or whatever else going on. But if enough people start to say the truth, there's not enough hate mail to go around to get to everybody. You can't fire everybody if everybody starts saying the truth about what's going on. We need to be able to have these discussions. And so that is where we need to be. We need to be brave. And I'll say a lot more to the folk who are, there's no excuse, but I'll give a pass. Even I know that's I'm contradicting myself. To the people who, maybe have jobs and kids that they need to pay for. Your kids still in college. You haven't saved up to your retirement, blah, 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 blah. You got a future that you got to think about. All right, you want to protect all that. That's fine, whatever. But to those of us who've gotten a little older, it's time to speak the truth. You already got what you got. You've lived in a moment where you've been able to amass a little bit of something. And if you haven't amassed a little bit of something, then you ain't got nothing to lose. But I think that's who needs to talk more than anybody else. And I'll be honest with you, that's who has been talking more than anybody else. But we need to make sure that we have somebody who can be a truth teller. Because at this moment in time, we don't have enough truth telling. You're not seeing the truth being told on TV. You're seeing people just dance around. There are very few people who will tell the truth. There are very few people who will speak directly to the power. And those people who do, they're great. But we need to all be that, because we can't have these real discussions. And then people don't really know where to go or what to do. The president has declared that he probably will not be going to heaven. Therefore, he has no incentive to be good, kind, merciful, fair, or anything else. Unfortunately, people who support him and what he wants has what he wants. They want to have what he wants. They want to have what he has. Sorry. They want to be rich and powerful, and they are willing to do and put up with whatever to get what they want. Yeah, absolutely. I'm pausing because I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but I'm just trying to figure out the best way to say it. Not that I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say that, this is the best way I think. People are prostituting themselves out for what they want. And that's the thing to do. Like, that's the cool thing to do. Everybody, but the reality of the matter is, and I thought about it. I was like, what? Everybody does it. We all do it. How many of us went to a job and we put up with a boss that was sexist or racist or hateful because we needed to get that paycheck? We're no different, truthfully, when we do that than a lot of these. And I'm gonna keep. Look, y'all gonna just be mad at me because it is what it is. But when we look at these Black Republicans who are out here and they're sitting here with somebody who's a racist as a president, and they're just supporting him, they just prostitute themselves out the same exact way that we do for our boss. They're doing it so that they can get, I want to be governor, or I want to be in the House race, or I want to have this, I want to have that. And so they're doing the exact same thing. We're doing it to put food on our table, and they're doing it because they want to get ahead in life. Now, the question is, does that make one worse or the other worse? I'll say, yeah, I think they're way worse. But the reality of the matter is, we kind of got to look at ourselves, and we all kind of do that. But when you do it, and you do it so that you can not only get ahead, but then you hurt others, I think that's where it becomes super problematic. And so when people are trying to get ahead in life and they're willing to hurt others in order to do that, I think that's where it gets really, really bad. Because all of us at one point in time kind of put our pride to the side, or put what's right to the side for little things here and there. But we don't just go out here, we just try to hurt others. And so, yeah. All right. Look, I know this one was like, well, man, what is he? You just want to come on here and just want to rail against people? No, what I want is for us to be more truthful in our conversations. We need to be truthful in our conversations with our family when we're talking to one another. We need to be truthful in conversations with our friends when we're talking to one another. We need to seek truthful people, people who are going to be just keeping it plain and truthful when they're having conversations. We don't need people who are constantly hiding what they truly feel or what's truly going on. We need spade for spade talkers. If you can't call a spade, then I don't need to be talking to you. I don't need to be listening to what you have to say on a leadership level. We can still talk, but I need you to be able to be honest and truthful about what's going on, what you see in front of you. The pimp cares nothing about those that they prostitute or those who prostitute themselves. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what's going on. A lot of us are prostituting ourselves in order to get power, but the people who have the ability to give us the power. They don't care nothing about us. If they can use us for whatever, they'll use us. If they can't, we get thrown to the side. And so we see this time and time again. Taking it back to politics, because we got to. You look at all of these black characters who were running around for the president, the current president, during the campaign, right? You look at all these black characters. Where are they now? In the same spot they was when they were running around for the campaign. None of them have gotten big positions in government. You don't really have any black people in the cabinet. You got one. The pimp, because you prostitute yourself out here, is not you ain't getting nothing out of the deal. And again, not to make this all about politics, but that's the thing. We gotta stop just faking and just really speak truth. Just keep stuff plain and speak the truth, because I think that again is the problem. There's a bunch of people who are not hearing the truth. They're not paying attention. Their lives are busy. Not paying attention to what's going on in the news. Not paying attention to what's going on in their neighborhoods. But when they hear and they talk to other folk, they need to hear some truth in what's being said out of their mouth. And so if the only time I really hear what's going on in the world is because I heard it from a conversation between two people, if those two people are keeping a real conversation and they're talking plain, then maybe I will hear some good information. So that's why it's important for every one of us, say what you feel, speak truth to one another. If you have somebody that you disagree with, tell them how you really feel. Don't play around. Tell them how you really feel. If you think that what's going on at this organization or that organization is bad, if it's it has a name for it, if it's racist, sexist, if it's whatever it is, say it. Say that that's what it is. Be plain with our voices and our words, because we don't know who else is listening. We don't know who else is learning. And you got to be real with people, because sometimes when people hear how you really feel about it, they're like, oh, I didn't know you thought that was, discriminatory or whatever. Then they may change. But if you keep playing and we be soft with our words and we don't say the truth, the person they may care. They may be the offender. They may never know. May never know. And so that's where we are today. And these comments kind of hit to it. Look, we got to just tell the truth. We got to tell the truth. It's so important. We got to tell the truth to one another and to ourselves. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. I know this one was a little different, and it was less of a topic of more discussion and more of a look. We gotta be real talkers. We gotta be real with what we do. And I know we've hit this topic a couple of times of we having to tell the truth. We having to tell the truth, because more so now than ever, you just don't hear the truth. All right, well, that's it. Thank everybody for the comments that came in. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Another comment real quickly. Many of the Hispanics are now realizing that they made a mistake. One man who is married to an American who's been in the U.S. for 50 years is now in prison in Africa. He was a Trump supporter. Yeah. Yeah. That as you can, I don't know. I'm not Hispanic. And I have a lack of understanding for how Hispanics, that the number for Hispanics that went towards this particular government that supported Trump expanded so much in the last election. I don't understand why so many Hispanics were adamant about closing the door on other Hispanics coming into the country when many of them came through. I don't understand why they thought it was okay that many of the people who are being rounded up and sent to other countries are in the middle of doing the process. You came in here illegally, but you're sitting here and you're talking about the asylum process, but you're being arrested or you're being rounded up while you're at the courthouse. You're going through asylum, or you're going through the process of making sure you're checking in with your immigration people Your visa may expire and you stay too long, but you're still going through the process of trying to get it updated. Those are who's getting pulled and taken up out of here. People who are following the process, not people who are just underground running around not doing anything, but people who have shown themselves to the government, shown themselves to the officials in power and said, hey, I'm here illegally. What do I need to do? And so I don't understand. I don't. I truly don't understand how Hispanics can sit back and look at other people who are similar to them, come from similar countries, similar backgrounds, and come in here in similar ways and sit back and say, well, we want to close the door on you, or we want to treat you less than humane. And so, yeah, hopefully a lot of them are realizing it. I don't know that it's as many as it should be. I don't know that many of them care about how others are being treated unless they get treated that way themselves. We have one of the Hispanics who has been probably horrible, one of the most horrible people to other Hispanics and other people from other countries, Marco Rubio. And he's an example of what it is. I don't know why it's Hispanic on Hispanic hate. He hates himself and he hates other Hispanics. I don't know. But I can't call him out without calling out our own person. We got Clarence Thomas in there. So, I mean, as much as we got Marco Rubio out there, with his self-hate, we got Clarence Thomas with ours. So we all got our own problems, But I would hope that many Hispanics, that this comment is very true, that are realizing the mistake that they make. Because I don't care if you're right, left, conservative, whatever. I don't care if you're a Christian, non-Christian. Everybody can sit back and look and say, when you see somebody dropping their kid off at school and ICE agents are hopping out the car to arrest the mom or the dad while they're dropping their kid off at school, that's just disgusting. You can figure out a better way to do something. And why are you taking up people who are looking for asylum, who are looking for ways to get out of countries that are violent or bad, or just looking for a new opportunity? So, yeah, we're off on a little tangent there because we're past our time. All right, but again, that was a great comment. Thank you for that comment. I think we really, and again, that is what I believe is talking truth to it. I'm not pedaling around or dancing around and trying to make it sound nice. Let's do the truth. And if you agree, then you agree. If you disagree and I'm wrong, then you can say the truth back to me. And then maybe I'll get, to a different place. Oh, Marco Rubio and Clarence Thomas are big mamas who run the White House. Oh, I 100% agree. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should be. All right. Well, just as a reminder again, what else we have going on? Thursday, weekly Bible study, 7 o'clock. Worship service on Sunday at 10 a.m. And then on Tuesdays at 7 to 7:45, we have our time of prayer. And of course, at 8 o'clock here, we have Impact 2025. Thank you again for all the comments. Thank you for everybody that joined us. Please join us again. And if you have, we'll put the thing back on the screen. If you have anything that you want to discuss or want to be a part, feel free. Call the number or shoot an email. We'll get it. Let us know. All right. Have a good one. And join us again.
Sometimes you'll wonder if you will be all you can be, and doubts can cloud